going awfully. I think we're live. I think we're live. Hey, guys. Yeah! Hey, guys. Hey, more reading time and then some more games and such. Welcome. Welcome, guys, to the second ever LOBRO'S Spoopy Storytime Spooptacular. Thank you for being here. Thank you kindly. Hey, Spazzy Ninja. Hey, Laura Leaf. Hey, Wild Ass Quatch. Zao, how you doing, man? Flame Wolf, how you doing? Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Eliezer, J Rancher, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. All right, so this story is by Edgar Allan Poe, obviously, but it comes to us courtesy of PoeStories.com, which is just one of the many places that you can find Edgar Allan Poe's stories for free on the internet, which is wonderful. He is, just the legal fact of it is that he has been he has shuffled off this mortal coil and has been gone from us, at least corporeally, for long enough that all his work is in the public domain. So you can find his work all over the place for, I believe they call it frizzle. For frizzle. So yeah. It's going well, Zal. Wait. Did you read this to... He's dead. Yeah, he's pretty dead. Do you read this to your kid? I have not read this to my kid. Today I read her... and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street by Theodore Geisel, also known as Dr. Seuss. Hey, Soy. How you doing? Yeah, Soy, how was your stream? Thorsten Verhool. Billy, good to see you guys. How to use the wolf emote? I don't know. I don't think I have it. Oh, Soy, you're hosting me? Thank you. That's kind. Hope your viewers like stories. Zombie Reagan, good to see you. Yeah, sorry, I read your comment, but not your name, unfortunately. I was just at Mulberry Street this weekend. There's a Mulberry Street in my city and a Mulberry Street coffee house I love. Well, that's awesome. All right. Hopper, how you doing? Guys, thanks for being here. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here. And, are we doing a Let's Read? Yeah, so to speak. Yeah, we're doing a Let's Read. I think that's what's up. Hey, Paul Atreides. How you doing, sir? Wait a second. Is that a Dune reference? I think that's a Dune reference. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into it. So this is The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. Published in 1845, this website says. Hey, Allie! Thanks for being here. It is a Dune reference. Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll. Is Paul Atreides a Dune reference? I know. I've read only part of Dune. I've only read part of Dune, and it was a while ago, and I know. Night of Amber, how are you? Good to see you guys. Took like a 78-month break. Yeah, Billy, are you able to be back on Twitch somewhat consistently? I hope things are going well for you, man. I do hope things are going well for you. You're watching The Mirror's Edge? VOD. Oh, yeah. I didn't get very far on that. I want to go back to that. So here's the thing. Okay, so I guess give the three more people who are going to show up the chance to show up. So for Spooptober, which is what I'm calling I don't know. Question one, is Spoopy, like, is that like a universal Twitch thing, or is that just something that people say in Lobos' chat? And that's where I got it. Question one. What is the book about? The book is Dune or Black Cat? The Black Cat is it's a tale of obsession and alcoholism and guilt and supernatural forces. Spoopy, pretty universal, rock and roll. Yeah, hey Estes. Yeah, I was gonna do the Telltale Heart tomorrow. We're gonna do user. Well, if user wanted us to do Dagon or Dagon by Lovecraft, which I had not read and have now read, and I'm definitely going to read it. Probably tomorrow. Probably next stream. Sorry. Probably next stream. Next Spoopy Spooptober stream. Are you gonna play Overwatch? I have to re-up my my Xbox Live. So I got to we found a kind of a reasonably good deal online on Amazon, so I'm going to order it. But I think it's a physical card, so we have to wait for it to get here. 3 Spoopy, 5 me. Is the Raven too on the nose? No, we're totally doing the Raven. We are totally doing the Raven. Did I play any Dead Space? Yeah, started it tonight. Last night. We will be doing it later tonight. But here's the thing, so for Spooptober, my feeling is that I should play mostly scary games, right? Spoopy games. Hey, let me move that light a little. It's a little too bright for a Spoopy stream. Give me your light. The Simpsons version of the Raven is great. Take thy beak from out my heart. Yeah, it's great. That's a terrible Homer Simpson. That's the worst Homer Simpson you'll ever hear. But it was a good one. I have someone's blood on my shirt. Don't mind that. Don't mind that. Ha! Blood. This story is kind of spoopy. That was 90% Barney. That was definitely... Yeah, my Homer always turns into Barney. Which, they're, you could be further off than that, I guess, but it's just so Barney. Hi, Homer. Hi, Homer. Can't do the burp, though. But yeah, so I don't know if I should just, only play spoopy games. Scary games. Yeah, Dan Castellaneta, baby. Dan Castellaneta. Castellaneta. There we go. I'm reading Spoopy Stories, Master Debaser. Hey, Smart Lenny. Good to see you, man. All right. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for being here. Because I want to play stuff like, Mirror's Edge and go back to Life is Strange, which I was kind of that's kind of spoopy. I don't know. It's supernatural. I want to go back to Telltale Batman. I don't think I could. If I'm doing scary games, I don't think I can justify that. Castellaneta can talk to himself while doing Barney and Homer. Yeah, I think so. Hey, Zard Brood. When dusk falls and you switch to spoopy games. Well, what I'm saying is... Oh, okay. Well... But I usually start at 7, so... Spoopy! And we're, starting with these this month, so... That's something. Anyway, I think I can swing, an Arkham Knight one, because it happens on Halloween. And it's all about, the Scarecrow. I have not played Alien Isolation. I was looking at that. And there is a DLC where you can play as Ripley. And it's the last few minutes of Alien. Which is unbelievable. Yeah, Outlast Whistleblower DLC. And Dead Space, pretty much. Wow. Whoa. Wait, but what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, Dark Souls. I was going to play a little Souls. Clive Barker's Undying. I don't know what that is. Is getting a Halloween update? Okay, well, I need to get that. I think I would love Alien Isolation as well. Layers of Fear. And borrow Lobos' Oculus. Oh, that'd be awesome. It's too scary for me? Oh, come on. All right. We're all doing well, Brestopher. I would like it. I'm definitely into Isolation. You really need to watch the Alien movies? You haven't watched the Alien movies? Watch the Alien movies. Watch them. Really, the thing is, you really should watch. If you're going to watch one for Halloween, it should be Alien, because Alien is the horror movie. Aliens is the action movie. Alien 3 is the prison movie. Alone. I've never played Alone. Only in Blyton. Actually, I was going to try New Londo. I was going to try, I was going to try the New Londo Ruins because it's got ghosts. Alien movies are so great. Go watch Alien. Yeah, watch Alien. Alien is the horror movie. Aliens. I did like Prometheus. I was like definitely like in for it. I was like on board for it, and I definitely really did like it. That's okay, Zard. Alien 3 is a prison movie, and it has the benefit of being David Fincher's first like theatrical film, although it was legend has that it was taken from him and edited in a way that he didn't like. Condemned Criminal Origins. Oh, I could play Murdered. I'm just trying to think of the ones I have. Yeah, Prometheus is pretty rad. Silent Hill. I don't have any of these games. Soma isn't on Xbox One. Oh, dang it. All right, okay, all right. Well, let's do this so we can get to some actual gameplay. Inside, I don't know what that is. Limbo's kind of crazy. Isn't really a horror game. Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like L.A. Noire with ghosts. Event Zero, huh? Kind of thematically appropriate. Yeah. Game GMOD Murder. I don't know what that is. Okay. Manhunt? I don't know. AUT. I should totally play AUT. Man, if my freaking Xbox game, if my freaking Ghostbusters Xbox game was backward compat, I could totally play Ghostbusters, which would be amazing. ET is your favorite of the Alien movies. All right. Inside would be great. LOBRO'S stream game. I think we'd be good at talking and gaming during that one. I don't know what Inside is. Well, I don't have any of these games. So maybe I'll do like I guess I could either do like a Halloween wish list, or I could break into a GameStop. That's what I'll do. Someone say bustin'. What Ghostbusters game? The Xbox 360. There's a 360 Ghostbusters game, which I was really, really enjoying years ago. My nose. This is not a Spoopy stream yet. All right. There's something called like Sanctum of Slime, which I'm not sure. Hey, hey, Mr. Tex. Dead Space is coming. It was brutal killing. Oh, I've heard of Manhunt. There is. Yeah, there's an Xbox 360 Ghostbuster game. It's great. It's really quite good. I was really enjoying it, and then had to stop playing for life reasons. Yeah, Sanctum of Slime I think is like a kind of like a Clash of Clans, or I don't even know what Clash of Clans is. It's one of those, like, it's a different one. Yes, exactly. I've never played that, but it looks different. It's like the people are small. This, like, yeah, and I noticed that too. Oh, hey, 45 Tactical. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this so we can play. Apparently it's bad. Yeah, it just, I don't know if it's bad. It just looked like a different style of game. Definitely a different style of game. Look more like kind of like a mobile game or something. Like, I don't know. Hey, a little mini panda. Thank you for the follow. Hey, what's up, Flame Wolf? How you doing, man? All right. Okay, a couple more chat reads, and then I gotta go. Rough. Hey, we're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it. Let's do it. The Spoop. Here's the link to the event. What is that? I want to see that. I will open it and look at it later. For Dark Souls? Why? People can't spoil... Well, I guess people will try to spoil stuff. Evil Within is a good... Halloween event. Alright, I'll definitely look at that later. That sounds really fun. Super ready to scream. Okay, alright. Let's do it. Alright. Okay, so this is, guys, thanks for being here. This is The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. And please let me know if you can't hear me well. Gravity's Final Boss. Published 1845. For the most wild yet most homely narrative which I am about to pen, I neither expect nor solicit belief. Mad indeed would I be to expect it in a case where my very senses reject their own evidence. Yet mad I am not. Yet mad am I not, and very surely do I not dream. But tomorrow I die, and today I would unburden my soul. My immediate purpose is to place before the world plainly, succinctly, and without comment a series of mere household events. In their consequences, these events have terrified, have tortured, have destroyed me. Yet I will not attempt to expound them. To me they have presented little but horror. To many they will seem less terrible than Baroque's. Hereafter, perhaps, some intellect may be found which will reduce my phantasm to the commonplace. Some intellect more calm, more logical, and far less excitable than my own, which will perceive, in the circumstances I detail with awe, nothing more than an ordinary succession of very natural causes and effects. From my infancy, I was noted for the docility and humanity of my disposition. My tenderness of heart was even so conspicuous as to make me the jest of my companions. I was especially fond of animals, and was indulged by my parents with a great variety of pets. With these I spent most of my time, and never was so happy as when feeding and caressing them. This peculiarity of character grew with my youth, and in my manhood I derived from it one of my principal sources of pleasure. To those who have cherished an affection for a faithful and sagacious dog, I need hardly be at the trouble of explaining the nature or the intensity of the gratification thus derivable. There is something in the unselfish and self-sacrificing love of a brute which goes directly to the heart of him who has frequent occasion to best the paltry friendship and gossamer fidelity of mere man. I married early, and was happy to find in my wife a disposition not uncongenial with my own. Observing my partiality for domestic pets, she lost no opportunity of procuring those of the most agreeable kind. We had birds, goldfish, a fine dog, rabbits, a small monkey, and a cat. This latter was a remarkably large and beautiful animal, entirely black, and sagacious to an astonishing degree. In speaking of his intelligence, my wife, who at heart was not a little tinctured with superstition, made frequent allusion to the ancient popular notion which regarded all black cats as witches in disguise. Yeah, there are a lot of good words in here. And this version is weird because it has all these like vocabulary words in blue. So, whatever. You can actually, I think, click on... No, whatever. Breaking it. In speaking of his intelligence, my wife, who at heart was not a little tinctured with superstition, made frequent allusion to the ancient popular notion which regarded all black cats as witches in disguise. Not that she was ever serious upon this point, and I mention the matter at all for no better reason than it happens just now to be remembered. Pluto, this was the cat's name, was my favorite pet and playmate. I alone fed him, and he attended me wherever I went about the house. It was even with difficulty that I could prevent him from following me through the streets. Our friendship lasted in this manner. Hey, Adam. Our friendship lasted in this manner for several years, during which my general temperament and character, through the instrumentality of the fiend intemperance, had, I blush to confess it, experienced a radical alteration for the worse. I grew day by day more moody, more irritable, more regardless of the feelings of others. I suffered myself to use intemperate language to my wife. At length I even offered her personal violence. My pets, of course, were made to feel the change in my disposition. I not only neglected, but ill-used them. For Pluto, however, I still retained sufficient regard to restrain me from maltreating him, as I made no scruple of maltreating the rabbits, the monkey, or even the dog when by accident or through affection they came in my way. But my disease grew upon me, for what disease is like alcohol? And at length even Pluto, who was now becoming old and consequently somewhat peevish, even Pluto began to experience the effects of my ill temper. One night, returning home, much intoxicated from one of my haunts about town, I fancied that the cat avoided my presence. I seized him, when in his fright at my violence he inflicted a slight wound upon my hand with his teeth. The fury of a demon instantly possessed me. I knew myself no longer. My original soul seemed at once to take its flight from my body, and a more than fiendish malevolence, gin-nurtured, thrilled every fiber of my frame. I took from my waistcoat pocket a penknife, opened it, grasped the poor beast by the throat, and deliberately cut out one of its eyes from the socket. I blush, I burn, I shudder while I pen the damnable atrocity. When reason returned with the morning, when I had slept off the fumes of the night's debauch, I experienced a sentiment half of horror, half of remorse for the crime of which I had been guilty. But it was, at best, a feeble and equivocal feeling, and the soul remained untouched. I again plunged into excess and soon drowned in wine all memory of the deed. In the meantime, the cat slowly recovered. The socket of the lost eye presented, it is true, a frightful appearance, but he no longer appeared to suffer any pain. He went about the house as usual, but as might be expected, fled in extreme terror at my approach. I had so much of my old heart left as to be at first grieved by this evident dislike on the part of a creature which had once so loved me. But this feeling soon gave place to irritation, and then came, as if to my final and irrevocable overthrow, the spirit of perverseness. Of this spirit philosophy takes no account, yet I am not more sure that my soul lives than I am that perverseness is one of the primitive impulses of the human heart, one of the indivisible primary faculties or sentiments which give direction to the character of man. Who has not, 100 times, found himself committing a vile or silly action for no other reason than because he knows he should not? Have we not a perpetual inclination in the teeth of our best judgment to violate that which is law, merely because we understand it to be such? This spirit of perverseness, I say, came to my final overthrow. It was this unfathomable longing of the soul to vex itself, to offer violence to its own nature, to do wrong for the wrong's sake only, that urged me to continue and finally to consummate the injury I had inflicted upon the unoffending brute. One morning, in cool blood, I slipped a noose about its neck and hung it to the limb of a tree, hung it with the tears streaming from my eyes and with the bitterest remorse at my heart, hung it because I knew that it had loved me, and because I felt it had given me no reason of offense. Hung it because I knew that in so doing I was committing a sin, a deadly sin that would so jeopardize my immortal soul as to place it, if such a thing were possible, even beyond the reach of the infinite mercy of the most merciful and most terrible God. Hizio. On the night of the day on which this cruel deed was done, I was aroused from sleep by the cry of fire. The curtains of my bed were in flames. The whole house was blazing. It was with great difficulty that my wife, a servant, and myself made our escape from the conflagration. The destruction was complete. My entire worldly wealth was swallowed up, and I resigned myself thenceforward to despair. Yeah, Zard, that one's coming up. Okay. Must not break the... I am above the weakness of seeking to establish a sequence of cause and effect between the disaster and the atrocity, but I am detailing a chain of facts and wish not to leave even a possible link imperfect. On the day succeeding the fire, I visited the ruins. The walls, with one exception, had fallen in. This exception was found in a compartment wall, not very thick, which stood about the middle of the house, and against which had rested the head of my bed. The plastering had here, in great measure, resisted the action of the fire, a fact which I attributed to its having been recently spread. About this wall a dense crowd were collected, and many persons seemed to be examining a particular portion of it, with very minute and eager attention. The words strange, singular, and other similar expressions excited my curiosity. I approached and saw, as if graven in bas relief upon the white surface, the figure of a gigantic cat. The impression was given with an accuracy truly marvelous. There was a rope about the animal's neck. When I first beheld this apparition, for I could scarcely regard it as less, my wonder and my terror were extreme. But at length, reflection came to my aid. The cat, I remembered, had been hung in a garden adjacent to the house. Upon the alarm of fire, this garden had been immediately filled by the crowd, by some one of whom the animal must have been cut from the tree and thrown through an open window into my chamber. This had probably been done with the view of arousing me from sleep. The falling of other walls had compressed the victim of my cruelty into the substance of the freshly spread plaster, the lime of which, with the flames and the ammonia from the carcass, had then accomplished the portraiture as I saw it. Although I thus readily accounted to my reason, if not altogether to my conscience, for the startling fact just detailed, it did not the less fail to make a deep impression upon my fancy. For months I could not rid myself of the phantasm of the cat, and during this period there came back into my spirit a half-sentiment that seemed, but was not, remorse. I went so far as to regret the loss of the animal, and to look about me, among the vile haunts which I now habitually frequented, for another pet of the same species, and of somewhat similar appearance with which to supply its place. One night, as I sat half stupefied in a den of more than infamy, my attention was suddenly drawn to some black object, reposing upon the head of one of the immense hogsheads of gin, or of rum, which constituted the chief furniture of the apartment. I had been looking steadily at the top of this hogshead for some minutes, and what now caused me surprise was the fact that I had not sooner perceived the object thereupon. I approached it, and touched it with my hand. It was a black cat, a very large one, fully as large as Pluto, and closely resembling him in every respect but one. Pluto had not a white hair upon any portion of his body, but this cat had a large, although indefinite, splotch of white covering nearly the whole region of the breast. Upon my touching him, he immediately arose, purred loudly, rubbed against my hand, and appeared delighted with my notice. This then was the very creature of which I was in search. I at once offered to purchase it of the landlord, but this person made no claim to it, knew nothing of it, had never seen it before. I continued my caresses, and when I prepared to go home, the animal evinced a disposition to accompany me. I permitted it to do so, occasionally stooping and patting it as I proceeded. When it reached the house, it domesticated itself at once. It became immediately a great favorite with my wife. For my own part, I soon found a dislike to it arising within me. This was just the reverse of what I had anticipated, but I know not how or why it was, its evident fondness for myself rather disgusted and annoyed. By slow degrees, these feelings of disgust and annoyance rose into the bitterness of hatred. I avoided the creature, a certain sense of shame, and the remembrance of my former deed of cruelty preventing me from physically abusing it. I avoided the creature, a certain sense of shame and the remembrance of my former deed of cruelty preventing me from physically abusing it. I did not for some weeks strike or otherwise violently ill-use it, but gradually, very gradually, I came to look upon it with unutterable loathing and to flee silently from its odious presence as from the breath of a pestilence. What added, no doubt, to my hatred of the beast was the discovery on the morning after I brought it home that, like Pluto, it also had been deprived of one of its eyes. This circumstance, however, only endeared it to my wife, who, as I have already said, possessed in a high degree that humanity of feeling which had once been my distinguishing trait and the source of many of my simplest and purest pleasures. With my aversion to this cat, however, its partiality for myself seemed to increase. It followed my footsteps with a pertinacity which it would be difficult to make the reader comprehend. Whenever I sat, it would crouch beneath my chair or spring upon my knees, covering me with its loathsome caresses. If I arose to walk, it would get between my feet and thus nearly throw me down, or fastening its long and sharp claws into my dress, clamber in this manner to my breast. At such times, although I longed to destroy it with a blow, I was yet withheld from so doing, partly by a memory of my former crime, but chiefly, let me confess it at once, by absolute dread of the beast. This dread was not exactly a dread of physical evil, and yet I should be at a loss how otherwise to define it. I am almost ashamed to own, yes, even in this felon's cell, I am almost ashamed to own that the terror and horror with which the animal inspired me had been heightened by one of the merest chimeras it would be impossible to conceive. My wife had called my attention more than once to the character of the mark of white hair of which I have spoken, and which constituted the sole visible difference between the strange beast and the one I had destroyed. The reader will remember that this mark, although large, had been originally very indefinite, but by slow degrees nearly imperceptible, in which for a long time my reason struggled to reject as fanciful, it had, at length, assumed a rigorous distinctness of outline. It was now the representation of an object I shudder to name, and for this above all I loathed and dreaded, and would have rid myself of the monster had I dared. It was now, I say, the image of a ghastly thing, of the gallows. O mournful and terrible engine of horror and crime, of agony and of death! And now was I indeed wretched beyond the wretchedness of mere humanity, and a brute beast whose fellow I had contemptuously destroyed, a brute beast to work out for me, a man fashioned in the image of the high God. So much of insufferable woe. Alas, neither by day nor by night knew I the blessing of rest any more. During the former, the creature left me no moment alone, and in the latter I started hourly from dreams of unutterable fear, to find the hot breath of the thing upon my face, and its vast weight, an incarnate nightmare that I had no power to shake off, incumbent eternally upon my heart. Beneath the pressure of torments such as these, the feeble remnant of the good within me succumbed. Evil thoughts became my sole intimates, the darkest and most evil of thoughts. The moodiness of my usual temper increased to hatred of all things and of all mankind, while from the sudden, frequent, and ungovernable outbursts of a fury to which I now blindly abandoned myself, my uncomplaining wife, alas, was the most usual and the most patient of sufferers. One day she accompanied me upon some household errand into the cellar of the old building which our poverty compelled us to inhabit. The cat followed me down the steep stairs, and nearly throwing me headlong, exasperated me to madness. Uplifting an axe, and forgetting in my wrath the childish dread which had hitherto stayed my hand, I aimed a blow at the animal, which, of course, would have proved instantly fatal had it descended as I wished, but this blow was arrested by the hand of my wife. Goaded by the interference into a rage more than demoniacal, I withdrew my arm from her grasp and buried the axe in her brain. She fell dead upon the spot, without a groan. This hideous murder accomplished, I set myself forthwith, and with entire deliberation, to the task of concealing the body. I knew that I could not remove it from the house, either by day or by night, without the risk of being observed by the neighbors. Many projects entered my mind. At one period I thought of cutting the corpse into minute fragments and destroying them by fire. At another I resolved to dig a grave for it in the floor of the cellar. Again I deliberated about casting it into the well of the yard, about packing it in a box, and as if merchandise, with the usual arrangements, and so getting a porter to take it from the house. Finally I hit upon what I considered a far better expedient than either of these. I determined to wall it up in the cellar, as the monks of the Middle Ages are recorded to have walled up their victims. For a purpose such as this, the cellar was well adapted. Its walls were loosely constructed, and had lately been plastered throughout with a rough plaster, which the dampness of the atmosphere had prevented from hardening. Moreover, in one of the walls was a projection caused by a false chimney or fireplace that had been filled up and made to resemble the rest of the cellar. I made no doubt that I could readily displace the bricks at this point, insert the corpse, and wall the whole up as before, so that no eye could detect anything suspicious. And in this calculation I was not deceived. By means of a crowbar I easily dislodged the bricks, and having carefully deposited the body against the inner wall, I propped it in that position, while, with little trouble, I relaid the whole structure as it originally stood. Having procured mortar, sand, and hair with every possible precaution, I prepared a plaster which could not be distinguished from the old, and with this I very carefully went over the new brickwork. When I had finished, I felt satisfied that all was right. The wall did not present the slightest appearance of having been disturbed. The rubbish on the floor was picked up with the minutest care. I looked around triumphantly and said to myself, "Here at last, then, my labor has not been in vain." My next step was to look for the beast which had been the cause of so much wretchedness, for I had at length firmly resolved to put it to death. Had I been able to meet with it at the moment, there could have been no doubt of its fate, but it appeared that the crafty animal had been alarmed at the violence of my previous anger and forebore to present itself in my present mood. It is impossible to describe or to imagine the blissful sense of relief which the absence of the detested creature occasioned in my bosom. It did not make its appearance during the night, and thus for one night at least, since its introduction into the house, I soundly and tranquilly slept. I slept even with the burden of murder upon my soul. The second and the third day passed, and still my tormentor came not. Once again I breathed as a free man. The monster, in terror, had fled the premises forever. I should behold it no more. My happiness was supreme. The guilt of my dark deed disturbed me but little. Some few inquiries had been made, but these had been readily answered. Even a search had been instituted, but of course nothing was to be discovered. I looked upon my future felicity as secured. Upon the 4th day of the assassination, a party of the police came very unexpectedly into the house and proceeded again to make rigorous investigation of the premises. Secure, however, in the inscrutability of my place of concealment, I felt no embarrassment whatever. The officers bade me accompany them in their search. They left no nook or corner unexplored. At length, for the 3rd or 4th time, they descended into the cellar. I quivered not in a muscle. My heart beat calmly as that of one who slumbers in innocence. I walked the cellar from end to end. I folded my arms upon my bosom and roamed easily to and fro. The police were thoroughly satisfied and prepared to depart. The glee at my heart was too strong to be restrained. I burned to say if but one word by way of triumph, and to render doubly sure their assurance of my guiltlessness. "Gentlemen," I said at last, as the party ascended the steps, "I delight to have allayed your suspicions. I wish you all health and a little more courtesy. By the by, gentlemen, this is a very well-constructed house." In the rabid desire to say something easily, I scarcely knew what I uttered at all. I may say an excellent and well-constructed house. These walls, are you going, gentlemen? These walls are solidly put together. And here, through the mere frenzy of bravado, I rapped heavily with a cane, which I held in my hand, upon that very portion of the brickwork behind which stood the corpse of the wife of my bosom. But may God shield and deliver me from the fangs of the arch-fiend. No sooner had the reverberation of my blows sunk into silence than I was answered by a voice from within the tomb, by a cry, at first muffled and broken like the sobbing of a child, and then quickly swelling into one long, loud, and continuous scream, utterly anomalous and inhuman, a howl, a wailing shriek, half of horror and half of triumph, such as might have arisen only out of hell, conjointly from the throats of the damned in their agony, and of the demons that exult in the damnation. Of my own thoughts it is folly to speak. Swooning, I staggered to the opposite wall. For one instant, the party upon the stairs remained motionless, through extremity of terror and of awe. In the next, a dozen stout arms were toiling at the wall. It fell bodily. The corpse, already greatly decayed and clotted with gore, stood erect before the eyes of the spectators. Upon its head, with red extended mouth and solitary eye of fire, sat the hideous beast whose craft had seduced me into murder, and whose informing voice had consigned me to the hangman. I had walled the monster up within the tomb. Hey, hey, hey! Ho, 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 ho! Yeah, I'm capturing pop-up chat. What's up? What's up? All right. Well, that was it. That was the end of that story. Yeah, I love Edgar Allan Poe too. Yeah, I was gonna read. I think I saw someone mentioned. Oh man, I gotta read all these. Yeah, that's why I didn't read Telltale Heart. I love the Telltale Heart. It is my favorite story by Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, I think that's true. It's my favorite story by Edgar Allan Poe. And this one's kind of like the Telltale Heart, honestly. LOBRO'S sombra us for coming out for the event. Sombra? I'm bad cat killing wife hater who's bad at construction. It's true. Hey Chatwin, how are you doing, sir? Yes. Hey, you're welcome, guys. Did not expect actual story time. Yeah, it was story time. Your mic was on mute. Got to read it again. Oh my gosh. Telltale Heart is the only one I've read, sadly, by him. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Oh, thanks, Darren. Mention the Cask of Amontillado. I like that one too. There are a couple of like lesser known ones. I hadn't read the Mask of the Red Death for a while. I really like that one. It's very simple. Sombra, Overwatch character? Wait, what? Oh, it's okay. There'll be more. There will be more story times. How are you today, LOBROCOP? Was this stream planned? Yeah. Yes, it was. Oh, Sombra is not an Overwatch character? I thought someone was saying that Sombra was like a Halloween character that was announced or something. Liking my shiny new crown, yeah. I like The Raven the most, and I will be reading The Raven. I love The Telltale Heart. I thought maybe it was a little too well known. So I did The Black Cat, which is kind of like it. Thanks, man. Thanks on cookies. Hey, User. Welcome, User. User, we're going to read, next stream, we're going to read Dagon. 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 Hey, I'm Enigma. Well, what do? I stream stuff. I stream video games. This story was too spoopy. User. Well, welcome, Enigma. I stream video games, but I've been trying to get into different stuff. User raid. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to do slightly different stuff. And so this year, during October, SPOOPTOBER, this is my first October as a streamer, I'm going to... Hey, User. I'm starting out by reading scary short stories. Some of my favorites. This one is one of my favorites, The Black Cat. Yesterday we read not a traditional Halloween story, but it's called Chickamauga by Ambrose Bierce. Hold on. This stream is threatening to be derailed by my itchy nose. This story was too spoopy. Dagon, we'll be reading that. Please don't put me in a wall. No problem. Late as always. Hey, 6 Degrees. When is the next Dead Space stream? Very soon. So we're going to cut this. We're going to play a little bit of Spoopy Dark Souls. And then we are going to... Nobody watches your stream. Oh. Getting autumn allergies. Maybe, actually. My nose is so freaking itchy. Golly. Oh! We're going to play some Spoopy Dark Souls. Cut my stream into pieces. Oh, thanks. I'm not supposed to be looking dapper. I'm supposed to be looking bloody. Hey, 17R Pit. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, I know, man. I wore a jacket over this thing yesterday and I realized, look, there's even more. Like, there's blood right there. Whoa! Lowbro dab. My birthday was on the 1st, and I just went to a haunted house yesterday, so I'm interested. I love Halloween. Great, man. We'll be playing spoopy games. I played a bit of Dark Souls in the past. My brother's a very big Dark Souls streamer, and I've played with him. I'm kind of going through a first run of this game called Dark Souls, which is scary. Hey, Felder Guy. Real blood? No. Not real blood. I'm fine. It wasn't real blood. Ha ha. Help me. Please help. Hey, I'm Enigma. Thank you for the follow. LOBRO'S scissor hands. Unknown Zeta, did you actually? There's a recent video I did where I was part of where I actually was kind of Edward Scissorhands. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if that's a reference to that or if that's something. Blink twice if you need help. I need help. If I need help. I can't blink. They're watching. Hey, dumb jap. All right. There we go. All right, guys, so I'm going to cut. No, Ethel. All right, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna cut. So stream's gonna go green for a little. No, stream's gonna go dead for a second. Stream is gonna go dead for a second. We'll be back up in 5 minutes. Hopefully 5 minutes. Hopefully less. Ghost jobs. Alrighty, all right. Thanks for being here, guys, and let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, see you guys in just a second. Just a second. The more you cut, the more blood there is. All right, be right back. First is the wife and cat. Now the stream. Time will tell. All right,